I will call to order the regular board meeting of the Chicago Board of Election Commissioners. Good morning. My name is Maricel Hernandez. I'm the chair. And with me today is Commissioner June Brown.
Present.
And Commissioner William Cressy.
Also present.
Next item on the agenda is the consideration of the agenda. Any proposed changes?
Madam Chair,
Mm-hmm.
we're going to pass on item 7E2.
Thank you. That's fine. So we will pass on that. We have no minutes.
No minutes.
So we will go directly to the Executive Director's report.
Good morning, Madam Chair, Commissioner Brown and Commissioner Cressy. Vote by mail applications opened last Wednesday, December the 20th, including our new online application on chicagoelections.gov. We also now have an online application open for the permanent vote by mail roster where voters can join or opt out or change their party or language ballot information ahead of the March 19th primary. We sent an email to over 100,000 voters already signed up for the primary election to confirm their information and help clean up the roster ahead of ballots being mailed out in early February. And we have already heard back from many permanent roster voters confirming or updating their information. Record examinations are happening daily on the 6th floor for cases before the Chicago Electoral Board. Notices and hearing dates are all posted on the 6th and 8th floors, as well as on our website. I participated in the interviewing of promising candidates for the position of our next Human Resource Director, and we hope to make an offer in the near future. Last Thursday, December 21st, I presided over the winter conference for the Association of Election Commissioner Officials of Illinois, where we received updates from the Illinois State Board of Elections on important topics including cybersecurity, new IVRS updates, and new legislation updates. We also heard from Legislative Liaison Mike Grady on expected proposals for the annual election omnibus legislation for 2024. Also that Thursday, I joined Max Bever, Derek Blader, and representatives from the Cook County to meet with the Illinois Secretary of State and his staff to discuss a proposed expansion to the automatic voter registration ahead of next year's legislation session. We look forward to working more with the legislation sponsor, Senator Ron Villavam, and the Secretary's office to provide our feedback and bring more language access community organizations to the table to ensure their approval. So here's my report, Madam Chair.
Well, that reminds me, I have a question on that email that went out to the voters, the 100,000, asking to confirm their information. What happens if a voter doesn't confirm?
Well, if a voter doesn't confirm, then we will use the information that's in the system already.
Okay, that's great because I did get the email. I was very happy to do that, and I completely forgot to confirm. So I will go back today.
Yeah, we won't change your information.
But I'm sure there's a lot of people like me who won't, the email will go by, and they'll forget. And but yeah, it was I was very pleased to receive that email.
Thank you.
So, one question. With regards to your conference, you had discussions with regard to cybersecurity.
Yes.
Because we've heard that it's considered in the upcoming election year that it's going to be a concern.
Yes.
How is what's the bottom line from the state, and how are we positioned for cybersecurity?
Well, as far as our cybersecurity, last speaking with our security manager, Raul Patel, we're in good shape. The state, they're just trying to continuously advise us of some of the threats that may be out there. Some of the phishing emails and things like that, just warning us and keeping us aware that it's still happening.
And we are constantly being updated
We
and
are
briefed
constantly-
by national security.
Yes,
folks
we
on
are.
this. Okay, very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a quick question for Mr. Holliday. As we enter into the fullness of the election season, are there particular administrative things that have not been concluded, that you have a timeline for concluding?
Not right off the top of my head, but we mentioned administrative about our human resource director. We're trying to fill that position. And our vote by mail ballot vendor is in place.
As far as standard operating procedures for the office, as far as contracts and other information that is still open, do we have a
All our
timeline of
Our
completion?
contracts are in place, and all the other items that may be open, we're working on them. So there is, I don't think, any loose strings at the moment.
So by end of first quarter?
Yes, all that'll be taken care of.
Did you?
We have a pending tables and chairs. Quick bid, I believe. I'm not sure if Amanda's already started on that process. It's in the works of it.
Another printing procurement is going to be released soon, published soon.
Can we get a summary of that, so we'll know, because as you all know, I have a pet peeve about getting them at the last minute, so if I could get just a summary so I'll be aware and can review it. What's pending and closing?
Sure. Anything else?
No.
Okay. And now we'll hear from our Assistant Executive Director, Mrs. Spera.
Good morning, Madam Chair. Good morning, Commissioner Cressy and Commissioner Brown. I want to give a special recognition to Derek Hurd and the warehouse staff for the monumental task of completing the upgrade and maintenance of all voting equipment ahead of schedule. As of Thursday, December 28th, there are 3,903 election judges and 894 election coordinators who have confirmed they will be returning. As of this morning, the total number of vote-by-mail applications is 103,612, of which 102,177 are permanent roster voters, and regular civilian vote-by-mail applications is 1,435. I am working with finance and purchasing departments to make sure that we are in the best place possible for fiscal year ending 2023 budgets. And lastly, HR has hired college students to assist with projects in HR, purchasing, and IT. And that concludes my report.
A couple of questions on a couple of different matters. Hopefully, either one of you can answer this. Block 37, we're using space over there for, or will be, for training. I know there was some build-out that had to be done on that. Has that been accomplished yet? Or are we close to, will it be ready in time for training?
I believe it will be ready in time for our training start.
Okay. Also, maybe Mr. Bever could answer. We also recently posted with regards to Mikvah Challenge and seeking high school students to work the polls as well. Are we expecting to get a good number from them? Also, is that open only to Chicago high school students or suburban Cook County as well? Do you know that?
I think it's
I
Chicago.
think it's just Chicago.
Just Chicago?
No.
Is that
No?
the-
So Audra Lewicki, she's here, and she's nodding her head saying that it's open to suburban as well.
Suburban Cook County. Okay. Because I know our judges of election can be suburban Cook County as long as they're Cook
Right.
County. Okay, very good. Anything, Mr. Bever?
Sure. They have a goal of 1,500 coming up for March 19th. We are helping them promote. We're looking to get as many high school and student judges as well as college judges ahead of March 19th as possible.
Very good. Thank you all.
Excuse me, are we doing anything with anyone other than Mikvah? As far
So
as
election judge
recruiting
recruitment?
Recruiting high school students, yes.
I believe that we've got regular relationships with CPS, community organizations, including League of Women Voters, who's present here today, our outreach to other community organizations that help us get the word out about our high school judge program. We do have that up on the website, is as well as information for our college judge program. We will be pushing hard over the next month now that we get past New Year's and people's mind is now on the election.
Are we using regular media? Not everybody's looking at online.
Yes, I've got a press release that will be going out soon as a reminder for election judge recruitment overall, as well as the high school and college programs.
Thank you.
I don't know if there's just still bulletin boards in schools.
Yeah. Do we send
But
like
can
bulletin
we- yeah, can
board
we-
notices or something that they can print themselves and place on bulletin
and
boards?
put on bulletin boards?
I'd certainly
Or-
be happy to follow up with our community services team on some additional posters that we can put
Or high
up.
schools, maybe students will pick their heads up and actually look at a bulletin board.
Actually, it's a great point, because last time I was at Governor State University where I teach, they had a notice there from the Cook County Clerk's Office for college students to be judges. And now technically Governor State is in Will County, but most of its students are from Cook County. So let's make sure that they get involved as well.
Certainly.
Thank you much.
Okay, thank you.
We don't want the county getting all of our people.
Mrs. Spira, you mentioned the judges, the number of judges. How is that looking compared to what we need and compared to other times in previous years at this point?
So the last board meeting, we had 2,913, so we're like 1,000 plus within the last 2 weeks or so. Of course, our goal is 6,000, about 6,500. It's looking like we're at a little bit over 0.5% right now. I'm hoping that by the next 2 weeks that we get another 1,000, hopefully. I know judges training is scheduled to be done at the end of January, beginning of February. So we're hoping that we could get more numbers up.
Okay. Thank you. Any other questions? Okay, thank you, Mrs. Spira. Now we'll go to Mr. Bever, our Public Information Director.
Morning, Commissioners. As the Executive Director mentioned, and as I have been talking about over the last several months, but our updated ChicagoElections.gov is now live. We went live on the 13th, and our vote-by-mail application went live on the 20th, last Wednesday. We've been getting a lot of good feedback. We have also been making updates in real time as that feedback comes in, just to improve. We definitely have a lot of voters that are getting used to some change, but also a lot of good feedback. Praise for our design, easier to find, pages, important information, key facts. We have a new search bar, so that definitely helps people find what they're looking for at our new website. As well as now our website is officially fully accessible, which was a big goal of this new update. We now have a voter lookup tool that voters can now look up their permanent roster information. Chairwoman, as you mentioned, that email that went out, we've asked people to go to our website. They can use that voter lookup tool to check their information, reach out to us ahead of time. This is really the biggest communication we've had to permanent roster voters since the last primary election. Part of that communication is intentional to make sure that people know what their requested party ballot is, as well as making them know that they can request a different language ballot, an accessible ballot, that there's additional options that are now on our online vote-by-mail application. We have two separate online vote-by-mail applications. It's the just regular application where people can request a ballot for the upcoming election, but now we also have a separate permanent roster application where people can sign up for that ahead of the next election or November. You can choose either to sign up for all elections, including this upcoming primary. That's where we ask voters to also choose a party ballot. Or you can sign up for non-primary elections, which then they would receive their ballot ahead of November, as well as other general, municipal, and special elections that don't require a party designation. Voters can also use that permanent roster application to make those changes. So if they wanted to update their party information, wanted to update a mailing address just for the upcoming election, they can use it. They can also use that application to opt out of the program entirely. So over the last week, we've definitely had a lot of voters reaching out to us and using that new application. It's really kind of a mini canvas, I suppose, for our permanent roster voters to make sure that we've got that cleaned up. A lot of voters are letting us know they've moved out of state. We've been helping them cancel their registrations. Voters that have wanted to change their party information. So we're getting everything done ahead of time when it comes to our permanent roster before those ballots go out in early February.
That's great. So
Are-
are we doing it in batches of 100,000 then, when we're sending out the voter update, the notification, or what?
Yeah, those emails all went out at the same time.
All of
We have 100,000, so
Okay.
all of the permanent roster voters
Okay.
for all elections did receive that email and been working with them. We do have our planned mass email letting to all registered voters in the city that we've got an email address planned to go out next week. So that will start hitting the email boxes of voters, letting them know that they can sign up to vote by mail ahead of the next election. Once we send that out, that's generally when we see the biggest bump, and that's when we see our tens of thousands of new applications coming in. As the Assistant Executive Director said, right now we're about just over 1,400 applications for the regular vote by mail ballot. As soon as that email does go out, we expect that to keep creeping up. And generally, we get about another 100,000. We expect probably even more for a presidential year.
Well, those emails, notifications via email from the board are, I think they're great. And, you know, they're done very well, and it's just so nice to be able to do so many things on the website and, you know, for voters to do whatever they need to do. So,
Thank you, Chairwoman. Yeah, and as you might have seen, we also have an unsubscribe option now to our emails that are at the bottom of each one. This is another thing that we had heard back from voters, and as an option, you know, we get email addresses from voters. We want to keep, you know, communicating with them, but if they also do want to not receive emails from the board, they have an option they can click through and do so.
Okay, great.
Who would want to unsubscribe from your emails, Max? I don't understand that. But I do have a question.
Yes.
I did get, if you will, a complaint from someone who involved in some of the petition challenges, and he's been trying to use the Your Voter Info part of the new website in looking up voters, and he's getting a lot of rejections, he says, and there's people he's looked up, he knows they're registered voters and say they're not registered. Have we received any kind of feedback on that, either from just voters or those involved in the challenges?
We have. Our voter lookup tool right now is a little bit sensitive, and we are making updates to it weekly. It's good to get this feedback in real time. It is a little bit nerve-wracking, as it is live, but ultimately we're looking to improve. Some of the more common issues is currently it requires a 5-digit zip code. It's rejecting 9-digit zip codes, even though that, that's what's on people's voter cards, so we will get that fixed. We've been talking people through, requirements for street direction, street suffix, no spaces after a numerical number. But, we did want to, get this live, and we're always seem to be under some type of time crunch when it comes to the next election. But getting this feedback in real time has been helpful, and the website is still very much a work in progress. Still, big plans to continue to improve upon its functionality for our voter lookup tool and our vote by mail tool, but some additional projects for the future if we get them done before March, but definitely before November, including just an address lookup tool in a map form so people can put in an address. Our former lookup tool had just last name and address, and you could just use it for address to look up, polling places or ward and precinct information. We're going to shift that to just another function, an interactive map where people can more specifically use that to look up ward, precinct, polling place, and elected official information. Other goals for the website moving forward too is voter turnout maps, election results maps. So right now, our new website is really kind of our baseline. We will continue to add to it year after year moving forward.
Yeah. And as you point out, when you're trying to making changes when it's live, it's like changing oil on your car while you're driving it. But just keep it up.
Thank you.
It looks great.
I think the term we've been using is we're building the airplane as we're flying it at this moment.
That's even more dangerous, yeah.
But that things seem to be going successful, and having just the new permanent roster application online, which we have not had over the last 2 years, has gotten us well prepared with our permanent roster voters ahead of the next election, and making sure that everyone's receiving their preferred ballots far ahead of time. Before we get to that moment. And ultimately, hopefully, have plans to continue to expand upon our permanent roster program, which has been a success.
Thank you, Max.
Thank you.
Just a few more updates on our end. All of our former e-poll books, keyboards, and charger stands were successfully donated to the nonprofit PCs for People, and we received our receipt of final data checks and sanitization. All of the memory and that had already been done by our warehouse team, but it's good to just double check. But I do want to say a special thank you to Lachelle Fisher and our whole warehouse team for making this a smooth delivery and process. We're able to donate those. The majority will be recycled, but nothing's going to a landfill and nothing's going to waste. And PCs for People is a good nonprofit partner of both the city, the county, and many other government agencies throughout Illinois. So we know that it's going to a good cause, and that they really follow through with all of their e-recycling of this equipment.
Approximately how many did we donate?
Just over 4,300 of
Wow.
the poll books, but it was really more of the keyboards and the old charger stands,
Right.
the ones that were really taking up a lot of space over in the warehouse, but we were able to successfully donate those also to PCs
and many
for
of those
People.
poll books will be reused?
As many as they can.
Yeah.
I think the majority, just given it's a little bit outdated, just what needed to take place to get the old storage and data out of them. But ultimately, recycling, e-recycling still is a donation. They still do get money back, and it does give their programs that donation to be able to provide more to low-income families throughout the Chicagoland area for recycled and reused technology.
Technology. Thank you.
In addition to the meetings that our executive director had mentioned, we also received another invite from the Illinois House of Representatives to participate in an upcoming subject matter hearing on January 10th. This time the subject is vote by mail and preparations from different election authorities across the state. I will be representing the board on a panel alongside representatives from downstate clerk's offices and other election authorities. We look forward to answering questions and sharing more information on our program, but as we were discussing, I think we have a lot of things that we are proud to point to, especially the expansion of our permanent roster system. We do have the most permanent roster people signed up in the state of Illinois. Probably not a big surprise given we are, the largest election authority. But, I think we'll be proud to go down and show our new online application and talk about ways that we have looked to expand the program, as well as just our overall successful vote by mail program. And I know our community services team has been hard at work at several community events. They will continue through January. Just before the holidays, I know Jane Lau had gone to an event over in Chinatown with over 90 senior citizens. Several people were signed up to be bilingual judges, as well as new voter registrations. Many other team members are going to additional college events. I know several are planned for January, and we'll report back on that continued outreach. But they're very hard at work, especially throughout the holiday season, and we always make sure to share that work on our social media. And I believe a lot more invites and works have been coming in because that work has been so visible.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now we will proceed with old business, and that includes infrastructure projects and changes in election administration, the new electronic poll books, voting equipment. Are there any updates to that?
Know that far as our electronic poll books and voting equipment, everything is still being prepped for our upcoming election.
Thank you. Mr. Lasker, legislation?
The General Assembly will go back into session January 16th, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you. And we'll then proceed to new business, and the first item is the adoption of the 2024 schedule of regular board meetings. This is just our regular calendar, where we have our meetings normally the second and fourth Tuesday of the month.
That's
Correct?
correct, Madam Chair.
Okay. Is there a motion to adopt the 2024 calendar of regular board meetings?
So moved by Commissioner Cressy.
Seconded by Commissioner Brown.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor, please state aye.
Commissioner Cressy votes aye.
Commissioner Brown votes aye.
Motion passes. Thank you. Next is the approval of a small bid purchase of Papermate Flair ballot marking pens from Garvey's Office Products. Amanda?
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
The procurement office issued a small bid request for quote for the Papermate Flair pens for the 2024 elections. These new pens have replaced the Sharpies that have been bleeding through the paper ballots, causing our voters some concerns. This is actually the second year that we'll be using these Papermate Flair pens. The procurement office had reviewed and evaluated and is recommending an award for the small request for quote of Papermate Flair pens for the 2024 elections. We are recommending the award to Garvey's Office Products. The small bid was competitively bid, and the award selection was based off of comparative total cost, meeting the lowest bidder's requirements. And in response to the small bid, the board received a total of 2 responses from Garvey's Office Products and Warehouse Direct. The board also received a late bid from Accurate Office Supply. Garvey's Office Products is the apparent lowest bidder to provide the board with Papermate Flair pens for the 2024 elections. Garvey's has proven to be reliable and responsible with providing the board with various office supplies. I've attached a bid tabulation documentation supporting my recommendation to award the contract to Garvey's Office Products, which appears to meet all the requirements for the small bid. Please consider granting the award of the small bid for Papermate Flair pens to Garvey's Office Products in the amount not to exceed $45,954.
Are there no further questions?
One question. These pens are going to be used for the primary. Are we going to need to get more pens for November? Pens have a tendency to wander off.
To wander off and to dry up, too.
Right, that's true.
So there might be a need, depending on what I receive from the warehouse, if they haven't dried up and we can recycle, I'll have a better determination later in the year.
And the Flair pens have turned out to be...
Perfect, no complaints.
No, so we're not going to have a Flair gate.
No.
Okay, very good, thank you.
Thank you, Amanda. Is there a motion to approve the purchase of 4,600 boxes of ballot marking pens at the total price of $45,954 from Garvey's Office Products?
So moved by Commissioner Brown.
Seconded by Commissioner Cressy.
Properly moved and seconded. All those in favor, please state aye.
Commissioner Brown votes aye.
Commissioner Cressy votes aye.
Motion passes. Thank you. Next item is printer toner for early voting ballots. Amanda?
Yes. The procurement office has reviewed and evaluated and is recommending an award for request for quote for HP Toner 26X for the 2024 elections. The procurement office is recommending the award to Next Day Toner Plus. An RFQ request for quote was competitively bid, and the award selection was based off of comparative total cost, meeting the lowest bidder requirements. And in response to the request for quote, the board received a total of 3 responses from Next Day Toner Plus, Garvey's Office Products, and Amazon.com. Next Day Toner Plus is the apparent lowest bidder to provide the board with Hewlett-Packard Toner 26X. Next Day Toner has proven to be reliable and responsible with providing the board with toner and desktop printers for the office. The board staff has been satisfied with their service and products. I've attached a bid tabulation documentation supporting my recommendation to award the approval of purchase for Hewlett-Packard Toner 26X to Next Day Toner Plus, which appears to meet all the requirements for the request for quote. Please consider granting the approval of purchase for the RFQ HP Toner 26X for the 2024 elections to Next Day Toner Plus in the amount not to exceed $199,700.
Question, this is, most of this toner is toner for the printers that'll be at the early voting sites?
Yes,
Where
for-
every voter has to print out their own ballot?
For the ballot
Right.
printing, correct.
What about now also on election day, every polling place will have at least one,
One setup.
touch screen with a printer.
Correct.
Does this cover those printers as well? Or will that be another bid?
No, this should cover it, too.
This covers this as well. Okay, thank you.
Is there a motion to approve the purchase of 1,000 printer toner cartridges from Next Day Plus with a total cost of $199,700?
So moved by Commissioner Cressy.
Seconded by Commissioner Brown.
Properly moved and seconded. All those in favor, please state aye.
Commissioner Cressy votes aye.
Commissioner Brown votes aye.
Motion passes. Thank you. Next is the a professional services agreement with Derek Blada and Associates for as legislative liaison and to provide lobbyist services. Mr. Lester?
Sure, thank you, Madam Chair. As you know, Mr. Blada has been serving in this role since September 1st on a short-term contract. We've been quite impressed with, he's doing a nice job monitoring all the election-related bills, also keeping an eye on anything related to Freedom of Information Act, Open Meetings Act, employment-related matters. So he's going to, if approved with this contract, continue on for the full year of 2024.
Quick question now. Mr. Blader's been keeping an eye on all the happenings down in Springfield. Is he also keeping an eye on what's going on Capitol Hill in Washington?
Yeah, he does monitor election-related stuff there for us, too.
Excellent. And looking at his list, it's very kind of him to give us a list of his other clients. I don't see any conflicts there, but he will inform us if there's any conflict in the future.
Yeah, he's going to always supplement his client list with us. Yeah.
Very good.
Okay.
Thank you.
If there's no further questions, is there a motion to approve a professional services agreement with Blada and Associates LLC for legislative liaison and lobbyist services at a cost not to exceed $42,000 over the term of this agreement, which shall begin January 1st, 2024 through and including January 31st, 2024?
Quick question, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Wait, is it January 31st, 2025? What,
Yes.
or December 31st, 2024?
It should, December 31st, 2024, 1 year. I'm sorry. That is a typo.
Okay.
Well, you got that.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Let's amend that motion.
Yes. Let me restate that motion. Because nobody has moved on it. Is there a motion to approve a professional services agreement with Blada and Associates for legislative liaison and lobbyist services at a cost not to exceed $42,000 over the term of this agreement, which shall begin on January 1st, 2024, and shall continue through and including December 31st, 2024?
And right before I do that, disclosure clauses are included in that contract, right? I don't recall.
Yeah, there's a
All right.
economic disclosure form.
So.
He's actually already submitted one through the city of Chicago, but he already provided one on September 1st, but we'll have him supplement if there's any new information.
All right. So moved by Commissioner Brown.
And as amended, seconded by Commissioner Cressy.
Properly moved and seconded. All those in favor, please state aye.
Commissioner Brown votes aye.
Commissioner Cressy votes aye.
Motion passes. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is approval of certain contracts for professional services, and these are for 2024 election judge trainers.
Madam Chair, if I could interject, We do have Amanda Robledo, who performed a request for qualifications on these procurements, but we also have Audra Lewicki, the manager of the Community Services
Oh, okay.
Division, who works directly with the election judge trainers and also reviewed the resumes of the individuals who will be serving as the trainers under these proposals,
Okay,
in case you have any questions for her.
okay. So who will be speaking?
Can you, yeah, Ms. Lewicki, if you'd be willing to just let us know how you feel about these trainers and what the
Yeah, we want
jobs
to know how
are.
you feel about these people.
Of 3 individual contracted trainers, or is it
2.
2? Sorry, thank you. George Munoz and Carmen Trish Colvin. They've both trained with us before for a few years. And then we are using a variety of temporary staffing agencies to supply the rest. They're all very well qualified according to their resumes. I look forward to working with them. We've worked with a few of the temp agencies in the past. They always give us quality candidates and are easy to work with.
Great, great. Any other questions?
Yeah, how many judges or how many trainers are we looking to hire?
I think the original number was 16. Since then, it has dropped to 14, but that was understandable. That's why we wanted 16. We can't really.
And have you worked with LHH recruitment before?
Yeah, the last election, they supplied a few trainers for us.
I have some concerns, but for right now, that's my question.
Just a quick comment. I'm very happy to see George Munoz on the list again. Will he be staying with us through to Election Day, do you know?
I am
Because very
not
often
sure
I
of
see him
that.
up there in Election Central providing his services and keeping everyone happy.
It's my understanding that the contract is just for training,
Okay,
but I think
great.
if you want him to stay Election Day, I'm sure he would
Yes,
gladly do it.
It's so, hard to have to leave to go back to Puerto Rico
So hard.
in March. But great to see him on board again.
Okay. Well, thank you, Audra.
course, thank
and-
you.
And thank you for everything you do.
Mr. Lasker, for LHH, I think I mentioned some concerns regarding them, and you've just received some, what for me looked like material changes. Do you have concerns regarding that?
I don't have concerns that would prohibit us from entering the contract. I wouldn't call them concerns. I think the biggest change is that they're not going to be supplying an economic disclosure statement, which they did provide to us last year.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know why they're making that choice. I think there's another, they've added language that would make it so that neither the board nor LHH would be liable for incidental, special, or consequential damages if there's any kind of wrong, contract breach or.
Well, is this something that needs to continue in your discussions with them, or is this completed?
I'd say it depends on. I'm comfortable with us entering the contract today as is. If you would like for me to take it back and renegotiate these matters with them, I could.
Well, I think
But
I'd
what I
like
point
to,
out.
I'd like to throw that out back to Audra. Audra, when are these trainers supposed to start, and when do you start communicating with them? When do they?
So, Train the Trainer, they will start their training on January 31st. I'll set the first couple of weeks of the schedule by mid-January.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Okay.
does that answer the question?
Well, I'm just wondering about LHH Recruitment Solutions and their trainers.
Mm-hmm.
If we were to hold off at this meeting from approving them based on,
Changes they made?
We got some.
When is the next board meeting, if you don't
January
mind me asking?
January 9th.
I think that's fine, as long as it's taken care of by
Because,
then. It
did
should
I
be
hear
okay.
correctly? They don't start the training for the trainers until the 31st of January?
Correct, but I
Yes,
want to
that's
set
fine.
at least the first couple of weeks of
Sure.
schedule. earlier than that. So,
Sure.
but yeah, that's fine with me.
So if the three of you would like to send me any, comments, suggestions, things to take to them, I'd be happy to do that, and we could pass on it for today and approve this one contract at the next board meeting.
I would, I think that's a good idea, and
I
I would
do too.
agree with Commissioner Brown. I can see certain, issues not being of any concern, but there's a couple that do kind of bother me,
Yeah.
and I would like to.
And some of it is just strange, like the refusal to sign off on the protections and safeguards under the Illinois Human Rights Act for non-board employees. That's a state statute, and we have our contractors just sign an acknowledgement that they're aware. They're anti-harassment kinds of, and anti-discrimination kinds of rules.
I don't
So-
think we can obviate that. I don't think we,
So, well, that's the point, is that those state statutes apply to our contractors whether they sign our acknowledgement or not.
Right.
Which does, so for me, it's like, well, why would you refuse to sign that acknowledgement? I don't know. It almost seems, I don't know.
And they
It-
did it last year.
Yeah, they did not have any amendments to the
see,
contract
that's-
last year.
they had.
But
I don't know if
they
they've got a
must-
new lawyer in
That's what
charge or,
That's
yeah.
exactly what I was going to say.
It seems what they're objecting to or refusing to sign, it's not going to really make any difference anyhow, since the law is in
For
place.
that, yes. And
But
see-
I think for our purposes, it would be good if everyone was on the same same situation for all these
I
contractors.
don't like them refusing to sign an economic disclosure statement. It's a contract with a governmental entity. All of our other contractors do that, from individual contractors through large corporations.
Maybe they should come in, if they don't agree, they should come in personally and
Talk to us.
Explain
address
why.
us.
Sure.
Mm-hmm, okay.
So,
Well,
yeah.
I'll follow up individually with you in between now and then to get more details, but I think this is a good plan.
Let's proceed on the others and not LHH.
And I'm not sure why it was such a late change.
Right.
If you've already negotiated and vetted the contract and it was ready to be signed today, to have a last minute change, there must be something else going. Maybe that's just my spidey sense.
Right, okay. So,
But the others,
you're okay.
it was a template I looked
Yep.
at.
Yes.
Is there a motion to approve professional services agreements with George Munoz, Carmen Triche Colvin, 22nd Century Technologies, Inc., Beacon Hill Associates, and LaSalle Network for professional trainer services at the rate of $50 per hour per trainer and with a durational term beginning on December 29th, 2023 and continuing through December 28th, 2024?
So moved by Commissioner Brown.
And seconded by Commissioner Cressy.
Probably moved and seconded. All those in favor, please state aye.
Commissioner Brown votes aye.
Commissioner Cressy votes aye.
Motion passes. Thank you. Do we,
Around here are all the contracts.
Okay.
Mr. Lasker, do you have a legal report?
Well, thank you, Madam Chair. Basically, the report today is just that we do have all the electoral board cases are pending, and things are moving relatively smoothly so far. We will be having an electoral board meeting next week. The county, I believe, is meeting Thursday. We'll meet on Friday and dispose of, I would say, half or perhaps even like 2/3 of the 55 cases that are on the docket. I'm hoping by then.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Great, great. Okay.
Thank you.
No, there's no financial report. There has been no request for public comment. Is there a need for executive session?
No, thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay, if not, and then I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved by Commissioner Cressy.
Seconded by Commissioner Brown.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor, please state aye.
Commissioner Cressy votes aye.
Commissioner Brown votes aye.
Motion passes. We're adjourned. Thank you.
Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy New Year.